1, 2, 3.
Hello, welcome to Rock the Cash Bar. I'm Ben Mowbray.
And I'm Diane Gallagher.
Every week we pick one song and do a deep dive into the lyrics and explain the different ways they've been interpreted.
We will also discuss how the song connected to us on a personal level, focusing on all the embarrassing details.
Glad to have you here. Enjoy the show. Happy Valentine's Day.
I'm wearing pink.
From my mustache to you.
I know a lot of people just listen to the podcast and don't watch it on YouTube, but you gotta take a peek at Ben right now.
So I had like the great big full like hipster beardo bartender thing for a minute. And then I was every Valentine's Day, it's becoming a Valentine's Day tradition. I dress up as John Waters and I host a John Waters movie night at the bar that I work at. It's put together by Lindsay Beal, our manager. She runs the ship. I just show up dressed as John Waters and try to be adorably, delightfully weird. Oh, it works out so well. But it was really funny because like I was shaving down to like the penciled mustache. So I cut it into this horseshoe, like handlebar, Wild West, super Deadwood mustache that I was walking around with all day Monday, and it was fantastic.
I saw the picture.
Oh, it's awesome. Like it changes your whole perspective.
I have to ask, like, girls can change their hair and maybe it can change our personality a little bit depending on what we do. But man, when you can cut your facial hair into like, what are those like pork chop things? Or the handlebar? Like, do you immediately like, I would have to talk in an accent, a different accent.
Absolutely. I was hey man at everybody all day on Monday. What are you doing, man? Hey, can I just get a Lone Star? Fuck yeah, brother. Like I was doing wrestling interviews all day.
Did you change your political opinions and you didn't even know why?
Damn right. Build that wall around me. You gotta keep me in.
Oh, it was great. I'm really glad you put that on your Instagram.
But it was so much fun to go because I went from what I would think of as like this weirdly like hyper masculine mustache. Because I was making jokes like what are you doing with that mustache, man? Well, I'm gonna go dance on bars down in Boys Town. I'm gonna make a few extra bucks. I got my rough trade photo shoot coming up. But I had to go from that to John Waters the next night, which was really it was like fantastic. I feel like it's like I'm back to being a theater geek again. Like I'm a triple threat. I can play anybody.
I love it. It's like with your handlebar one, you have to drink a Keystone, and then you went to this one where you need a Sazerac or whatever. Like
swirling around my cutesy cocktail.
I love it. It's so good.
I had so much fun because I was just wandering around the bar, just telling everybody, just introducing myself and just like, hi, I'm acclaimed film director John Waters, and we're screening the film. And there's like 22-year-olds in there who have no idea who John Waters is. So like I was literally like walking away from a table, and this kid was just like, "Is that John Waters?"
Luckily, it sucks that everybody has a computer in their hand, because back in the 90s, you may have like been able to do that, and they'd be like, "Oh my God, I met John Waters tonight."
I did creep some ladies out though. There were 4 or 5 very attractive young ladies who were all dressed up for Valentine's Day, and they were clearly having like the pre-game drinking meeting of the minds before they were all going to go out on their separate dates. And so me and my friends came out and we sat on the patio where we always do, and they just kind of took like one look at me and just very quietly just went, let's go inside.
You're like, ladies.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
That dude over there, that pencil mustache is not going to improve anything. It's not going to get better.
I think my dad's here.
Yeah.
Ay.
So I'm sorry if I creeped you out last night. I was just trying to be charming.
Oh, I think it's charming. And you wear a little suit. You're wearing a little jacket. I mean, you're just all dressed up today.
Oh, I was in a vest and a tie and everything. I was very cutesy.
Oh,
I was adorable.
I love it. I love it. I didn't do anything for Valentine's Day, and that's how I preferred it. Like it was good. we
Easier that way.
Yeah.
Valentine's is a very, very difficult holiday, I think, for everybody. Whether you're in a couple, then you have to do something extra special and make sure that your partner remembers it. And if you're not in a couple, it's just a depressing reminder that you're not. I don't like Valentine's Day very much, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I just had it inserts so much bad food into the house too, and I was like, God, all I ate yesterday was pork tacos and cookies and chocolate. Get this shit out of my house. Uh, yeah, and then my kid comes home with all this candy and stuff. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna be fat for another week.
I was dating a woman for about 5 years when I was a young man whose birthday was February 13th, the
Oh
day
shit.
before Valentine's Day. And the first time that came around the week before, she sat me down and goes, "This is important for you to know. Those are two separate holidays."
Well, my friend Katie's birthday is on Valentine's Day, and that's always fun. Where I'm like, whoever she's dating is like, what do I do? What do I do? How do I split this day and make it special twice?
Mhm.
Yeah.
We had my friend Casey, who's been a guest on the show. She's born on Valentine's Day too, so she runs into that every single year. Just like, yeah, that's got to be gross. I'm sorry for you. We should just
Sorry.
slide that over. Start celebrating your birthday on, what would that be? August 14th, six
There you
months
go.
later.
Yeah.
Celebrate your half birthday.
For sure. Yeah,
Mhm.
Corbin's birthday is the 9th, and we just celebrated his birthday. And then we're taking Charlie on a surprise. We're recording this on Wednesday, and we usually record on Friday, and we can't because we are taking Charlie on a surprise trip to Universal Hollywood and Disneyland. We're doing them back to back.
Ooh,
They're
yes.
they're opening Super Mario Land or Nintendo Land at Universal, and so he has no idea. We're picking
Yeah.
him up from school early Friday, and then we're going to tell him on the way to the airport what we're doing. By the time this comes out, I hope we had a great time.
I'm sure you will. He's gonna.
Nope.
I hope it's better than your last trip.
I know. I no plane explosions. Let's just get there and have a good time and get back in one piece, please.
It's gonna be amazing. Okay, so I picked Rihanna for because she was on the Super Bowl, and I figured that she would do something crazy and be in the news, and it would be a fun episode for us to. And so she did.
Yeah,
Rihanna performed at the Super Bowl whilst pregnant,
super pregnant,
super pregnant.
super
What kind
high
of
in the
pregnant?
air, pregnant.
Super high in the air. Yeah, I can't imagine. Can you imagine being like ASAP Rocky watching your pregnant wife do that?
No, no,
That'd
get
be
your ass
crazy. Hmm.
down.
And ASAP Rocky's got quite a temper too. You don't want to be stressing him out.
I know nothing about her relationship, who she's with, who baby daddies are. I know that name. I don't know anything about him. Is he really another mean person? Because we're going to talk about in the song. And we know her ex, Chris Brown. Is she just, does she like
No,
that?
he's very doting with Rihanna. Like he's
Okay.
very, very doted. Like he's a very loyal and devoted partner to Rihanna.
Okay.
But he does have a long history of slapping people and punching people and getting in fights. And he was arrested in Sweden in I think 2020. It wasn't that long ago. As there was some kind of brawl, and they had real trouble assigning who the blame was going to be on. But nevertheless, it was ASAP Rocky and his entourage fighting with people for reasons that have yet to become clear.
Okay.
One guy got beaten really badly with a bottle, so ASAP was in prison in Sweden for a month,
Okay.
and then President Trump got involved and threatened sanctions against Sweden if they didn't release ASAP Rocky. So the Swedes decided he's done 30 days in jail. That's enough for this particular bottle beating.
Yet Brittany,
Mm-hmm.
nothing. Okay. Well, I don't know.
No.
Okay. I won't get into that. Yeah, so I had immediately, because I mean, I knew this song, and I knew there was an Eminem duet with it, but I didn't realize, like, okay, Eminem's came first and it's mostly him and she's a guest on it. And then he talked her into writing the sequel where she's the main one and then he's the guest on her. So I'm like, what are we doing, Ben? And so we decided both, but we're gonna have you just quickly read the lyrics to his insane first one without interruption.
We're just going to briefly summarize.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want with his. It's a lot of lyrics. You can kind of just summarize that he's a nut bar in this, and then we'll focus on the lyrics of hers.
The
But I did.
song. Oh,
Oh, I
go
was
ahead.
just gonna say up front, we should put this out there, and I want to say before I say all this other stuff that I know that their point wasn't to glorify a relationship like this. They weren't
No.
trying to glorify it. But you have to know that there were couples, and there's so many couples out here in bad abusive relationships that listened to this and identified with it and almost felt comforted by, oh, someone else is going through this, but it makes me wish that at the end of both of these songs, they had pushed the stronger marriage of end this relationship. They touch
Yes.
on it, but it should have been a stronger, like, this is bad, end it, don't don't be comforted by someone else going through this and keep going in your own bad one.
Yes. It should have ended with, I'm very happy you're out of my life.
Yes, yes, but yeah, because even when I'm watching this video or reading this, like, it's that very young, immature, this they think this is passion, and it
Yeah.
looks attractive. So I wish they kind of ended it with like bad, 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 no,
Mhm.
or her being killed, which is usually what actually happens in relationships like
Sure.
this.
My lover, my killer.
Oh, have you been watching that?
I have not. No.
Do you know that that's a show on Netflix?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've been
Hmm.
watching it.
Have you?
Yeah, of
I've been
course.
trying to tune out the true crime and everything like that. I'm trying to keep my head a little more clean.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is an addiction. I am a basic bitch when it comes to that. It's not all my podcasts, but I have two that I like that are just like, and they get repetitive. I take breaks from it because I'm like, here we go again,
Hmm.
same story. Hope she lives through this one.
They never do. They're
They,
not going to live through a relationship with Eminem.
well, I mean, Kim's all right. Yeah, she's still alive.
I think so. I think, yeah, well, yeah. Yes, she is. Let's say that emphatically.
Okay, okay.
I can't tell you what it really is. I can only tell you what it feels like. And right now, there's a steel knife in my windpipe. I can't breathe, but I still fight while I can. I still fight while I can fight. That is definitely very angry dude. Like Eminem is good with his words. There's no doubt about that. And
So
that
good.
is what it feels like when you're fighting, when you're a man fighting with your girl. That is pretty good summation of it.
I do love the way he does this. And I mean, this is how he raps, but when he says I can't breathe, I'm like, yeah, I know. When do you take a breath? I don't understand. When does he breathe? Like he is able to like pump out these lyrics so fast, and I love the way he's doing it with that same energy that a person who acts like this acts like.
Mhm.
Very believable.
I used to work with a guy who fancied himself a rapper, and he was just constantly freestyling all the damn time. He was the most annoying person to be. Just shut the fuck up.
Please stop. Please stop with your ADHD. I can't take it.
It's got to be so frustrating. It's like living with a comic, where the comic is spending all day wandering around, like trying to find the best two-liner, the best punchline, like, oh god.
Constantly throwing bits at you. You're like, oh, you're not at work. Don't do this to me.
Or just thinking about the same thing over and over and over again until you get it right. Like being around the artistic process is annoying as hell.
Just do it in here in your noggin. You don't have to do it at me.
Mhm. Do it quietly at the table. Here's a notebook.
Yes.
Work it out. Click away at that typewriter. That's a relaxing sound. High off of love, drunk from her hate. It's like I'm huffing paint and I love her the more I suffer. That's exactly what you're talking about, where you mistake that toxicity for passion.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna talk a lot about that. That I have a whole quota pulled on that. I had a conversation with a friend of mine who was involved in a relationship very, very similar to this, and
Mhm.
takes a long time for people in that to understand that this
Mhm.
isn't love. This isn't even passion. This is something
Yeah,
way worse.
this is way, way bad. Move out. You're just going to have to start paying your own rent.
Yeah.
The chorus, we'll get into it here, but it's just going to stand there and watch me burn. Well, that's all right because I like the way it hurts. I love that chorus. Like I love the melody. Like it's painful. Her voice matches it absolutely perfectly. Like it's completely haunting. Like this was probably the first time I think I picked this song because it was the first time that I sort of really knew who Rihanna was.
Mm.
Like she got big around the time I was 26, 27. I wasn't really paying much attention to pop music or anything like that. So I was vaguely aware that there was this thing called Rihanna out there somewhere and that she was a singer and she was a very attractive lady, but I didn't really know it. And then I heard this song and had to look it up. I was like, what is that? I'm like, oh, this is Rihanna.
Okay.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
Mine was with Umbrella, and I was living in New York at the time briefly, and we were having a rooftop party, and there was a girl that was nonstop singing this and
Yeah.
dance. I mean, it was so big, and I was kind of like, "All right, we got it. We got the Umbrella song."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd certainly heard Umbrella, but because it was everywhere, I had no desire to learn anything about who was behind it. Like I'd liked the song, but I was just like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, it's cute.
I it is on. It was on my iPod though. I definitely had Umbrella there for my secret listening times.
Yeah. I will
Sorry about that.
say, yeah, she's so beautiful. Her voice is so good, and she's got great range, and you can feel the pain in it because this comes from a place of familiarity for her specifically. Um, but as far as like the lyrics go, I like the way it hurts. I love the way you lie, and I'm like, oh God, don't relate. I
Yeah.
just don't relate. I am not a glutton for pain. I don't like pain. And I'm always like, oh God, what happened in your childhood? Did you not have any pain in your childhood and now you're exploring it as an adult? Or did you have a lot of pain in your childhood and that's all you understand? So you want more? I mean, who knows the psychology behind that, but I don't relate. I don't like the way being hurt feels, and I don't like the way being lied to feels. So I don't relate to this at all.
I was having an argument with it doesn't really matter. It was a coworker, and I realized that like I didn't grow up in a really like argumentative family. Like there wasn't a lot. Like my mom and dad weren't fighting a lot. I wasn't fighting with my brothers and sisters all the time. We made an effort to get along. We don't have that long history of it. But I was arguing with this coworker, and I realized that she comes from a family that's what they do. They
Yeah.
argue all the time, and the well of arguing is so shallow in me and so deep in her. And it's like, okay, we got to figure out a different way to deal with this. Like
Yeah.
you're just on a different level when people come from different backgrounds like that.
It's like to me, I get like my feelings hurt and I take it very seriously when someone's mad at me or we're fighting. And I've been in that same situation with people who are used to fighting and they know we'll get over this and I don't hate you.
Yeah,
As someone who's not used to fighting all the time, when someone's doing that at me, I'm like, it's over. My world is crumbling. My feelings are hurt. Like I
yeah,
don't know how to take this. I don't like it. And I'll never be comfortable in a situation where that's the norm.
yeah. I don't think I don't fight with people that I don't deeply care about. You know, like if I have a problem with somebody that I just don't like, then I just don't like them, and I'll stay away from them. You know,
Yeah.
like I just like
Yeah.
I'll just leave it alone. It's not a big deal to me. I only end up fighting with people that I care about because I care about them.
Yeah, and you try to have them every now and then. Not,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have friends that are married couples that like their MO for their whole dating career and marriage is just like kind of a constant bicker and they're
Yeah,
comfortable with it. And I'm like, I would be divorced. I couldn't do it.
yeah, that would drive me crazy. Unless you could do it in a cutesy and fun manner, it would.
Yeah.
But no, like anytime you're fighting all the time, you just have to go. You know,
Oh,
if you
oh,
can't solve problems together, you can't stay together. That's all there is to that one.
don't like it. Don't
Hmm.
like
It is all over but the crying at that point.
This is
Shall
more
we get
than
into part
bickering.
two? Because that's basically Eminem kind of like there's three verses of
There's
that.
three verses of that, and then the one, okay, I'll just say the last two lines of it that's like, shit. If she ever tries to fucking leave again, I'll tie her to the bed and set this house on fire.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Um, like I said, I'm a basic bitch who listens to a lot of true crime podcasts and stuff, and these are the ramblings of a man who eventually kills his girl. So,
Mhm.
shit.
There
Yeah.
was there's a legendary Onion headline that said that Marshall Mathers is very concerned that his daughter is going to be dating a young man raised on his music.
Shit. Oh yeah. And I get it and I understand that, this is art and they are trying to really show what it's really like in these relationships and they're being very honest. But that doesn't make it less scary.
Yeah, they're dramatizing it, and it becomes scary because obviously both Eminem and Rihanna have their shared, well, not shared histories, but they both share a history of domestic violence. So it
Hmm.
becomes it's hard not like you can say, okay, he's dramatizing it, he's being theatrical, he's making his emotions as big as possible, but you're like, is he really though?
I know it's coming from a place of honesty. Everyone knows, that him and Kim had an abusive relationship.
Mhm.
So and not just from him, like, she hit him back. She was, they were young and like when I read his lyrics and I remember writing down notes and I was just writing down like, okay, this isn't love, this isn't passion, the way you get confused about when you're young and in a relationship like this. But I just wrote down immature,
Yep.
insecure, mentally unstable, anger
Hmm.
management, sociopath, codependent. Like
Yep.
it's the worst.
I've never been physically abusive with a partner. I never have, but I have had, every couple has shouting matches and things like that. And I feel so horrible when those are like, yeah, as they're going on, like all I can think is like, why are we doing this? Why? But
Yeah.
because your emotions are just so ramped up, you're not in control of them anymore. And it's very, very scary.
And yeah, it's two horrible personality types that get together who kind of get off on it. Like I remember there
Hmm.
was a couple in high school that I knew that they were both very combative and both had to be right. And it was like this. There was huge fights, huge makeups, huge fights, but the fights got physical. I mean, we all knew it too. Like she hit him, he hit her. It was very combative. And it's a weird thing when you know both of them kind of like it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I can't relate. Like
Hmm.
that's when it's bad because when you have a one who's like that and one isn't, the one who isn't is just gonna leave
Yeah.
usually. But
Mhm.
the when you get the two together who kind of get off on it, you're like, oh, this could end real bad.
Yeah. And it's like two feral cats. Like, we just got to keep you
Yes.
guys separated. Let's get the courts involved in this one. All
Ugh.
right. Rihanna's song is a little more thoughtful, I think,
But
a little more
still
emotional, a little sweeter, but still
very
very, very.
sweeter, but very where I'm like, girl, no.
Hmm.
Just keep saying no. Okay.
On the first page of a story, the future seemed so bright. Then this thing turned out so evil. I don't know why I'm still surprised.
On the first page of our story, the future seems so bright. Then this thing turned out so evil. I don't know why I'm still surprised. Like, yeah, right from the get go. Like, just get away, move on. You're Rihanna, for God's sake.
You're so pretty. That's the
Hmm.
thing about it's usually very, 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 very attractive girls who get stuck in situations like this by a guy who knows he's probably not good enough for her. And so he gets back to my first words, immature and insecure. That's what
Yeah,
makes this happen. He's
yeah.
afraid he's gonna lose her. And
Mhm.
it's really pretty girls that get stuck with men who can't handle it.
Yes, it's absolutely true. That's what they isn't that a saying? Don't date a bad bitch if you can't handle
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Hey.
Even angels have their wicked schemes, and you take that to new extremes. But you'll always be my hero, even though you've lost your mind.
Even angels have their wicked schemes, and you take that to new extremes, but you'll always be my hero, even though you've lost your mind. She knows. She knows. She knows. She knows.
She knows, but the you'll always be my hero. This is I'm like, why?
Yeah.
For what? Tell me one thing he did that makes you feel that way. I don't get it.
Just gonna stand there and watch me burn. Well, that's alright, 'cause I like the way it hurts. Just gonna stand there and hear me cry. Well, that's alright, 'cause I love the way you lie. I love the way you lie. Oh, I love the way you lie.
Just gonna stand there and watch me burn. Well, that's all right because I like the way it hurts. Just gonna stand there and hear me cry. Well, that's all right because I love the way you lie. Ouch, ouch, ouch.
Very, very sad. I mean, my heart just goes out to a girl who feels this way because I mean,
Mhm.
I don't relate, and I'm just like, you're never gonna be happy if you keep going after these dudes.
Yeah.
Unless
Excuse
unless you do love it. I
me.
said,
Mhm.
all right, okay. Try to stay alive.
Now there's gravel in our voices, glasses shattered from the fight. 'Cause you feed me fables from your head with violent words and empty threats. And it's sick that all these battles are what keeps me satisfied.
Now there's gravel in our voices, glasses shattered from the fight. In this tug of war, you'll always win, even when I'm right.
God, he sounds like a fucking peach. All right, Rihanna.
Because you feed me fables from your hand with violent words and empty threats. And it's sick that all these battles are what keeps me satisfied. So yeah, she does kind of like it.
She does kind of like it. And I remember reading this and being like, oh, you're just a masochist. And then I read on, I'm like, oh, you are.
Just getting off on the hate. The lovely chorus again.
So maybe I'm a masochist. I try to run, but I don't wanna ever leave till the walls are going up and smoke with all our memories.
So maybe I'm a masochist. I try to run, but I don't want to ever leave till the walls are going up and smoke with all our memories. Hey.
Yeah, he said he was gonna burn the house down if you try to leave.
This morning, you wake, a sun ray hits your face, smeared makeup as we lay in the wake of destruction. Hush, baby, speak softly. Tell me you're awfully sorry that you pushed me into the coffee table last night so I can push you off me.
It's morning, you wake, a sun ray hits your face, smeared makeup as we lay in the wake of destruction. Hush, baby, speak softly. Tell me you're awfully sorry that you pushed me into the coffee table last night so I can push you off me.
Yeah, so this is Eminem's part, and it's like, okay, this is how we hear she's not exactly an angel. Like she hits too.
Try and touch me so I can scream at you not to touch me. Run out the room and I'll follow you like a lost puppy. Baby, without you I'm nothing. I'm so lost, hug me. Then tell me how ugly I am, but that you'll always love me.
Hey, try and touch me so I can scream at you not to touch me. Run out of the room and I'll follow you like a lost puppy. Baby, without you I'm nothing. I'm so lost. Hug me, then tell me how ugly I am, but you'll always love me.
Okay, you fucking crazy people. Okay.
Yeah. Part of this is like you and I have gotten to an age where it's hard to relate to these kind of feelings anymore because we're just like, you just wouldn't put up with that. It's like, no, that's bad. I'm worth more than this. I'm out of here. But sometimes you have to learn those lessons along the way. Like you got to go through your ugly 20-somethings relationships in order to get to the healthy ones that hopefully you'll form in your 30s.
Absolutely. And I was going to say that if you and I were doing this podcast when I was in my 20s, I would have a totally different demeanor and attitude about this song. Because, maybe I wasn't in an abusive relationship, but I was in ones that were toxic for sure and mentally abusive and unhealthy. And I didn't leave them. I didn't have a physical fight, but I stayed in the mental fight and the toxic fight because I wanted like to win it, and it's just something I don't do anymore.
Yeah, I've definitely seen people do that where you're like, specifically with women, with close women friends of mine, I'm just like, oh, you think you're only staying in this because, like you say, you just want to win it. Like you're gonna stick around until you get the victory and then you're out of there. Yeah. And that's just as toxic and just as bad. And I think just the older you get, you just get tired. You're like, all of this is beyond exhausting. Exactly. I need to go to bed at 8. I'm not doing this fight if it goes past 8 o'clock. Oh no. Like, I just want to be happy. And if you're not making me happy, then I am gone. Yes. Take that shit elsewhere. Take that shit to another 20-year-old. I'm not doing that.
Then after that, shove me in the aftermath of the destructive path that we're on. Two psychopaths, but we know that no matter how many knives we put in each other's backs, that we'll have each other's backs, cause we're that lucky.
Then after that, shove me in the aftermath of the destructive path that we're on. Two psychopaths, but we know that no matter how many knives we put in each other's back, that we'll have each other's backs because we're that lucky. Okay, I guess. Yeah. Sometimes I wonder
It's that couple you see fighting and someone gets concerned and call the cops and then they fucking come at you for calling the
Yeah.
cops as a team. You're like, what the I thought he was gonna kill you. Why are you sticking up for him now?
I was trying to help.
Yes.
Oh no.
Together we move mountains. Let's not make mountains out of molehills. You hit me twice, yeah, but who's counting? I may have hit you 3 times. I'm starting to lose count, but together we'll live forever. We found the youth fountain. Our love is crazy. We're nuts, but I refuse counseling. This house is too huge. If you move out, I'll burn all 2,000 square feet of it to the ground. And you can do about it. 'Cause with you, I'm in my mind. Without you, I'm out here.
Stand there and watch me burn.
Together we move mountains. Let's not make mountains out of molehills. You hit me twice, yeah, but who's counting? I may have hit you 3 times. I'm starting to lose count, but together we'll live forever. We found the youth fountain. Our love is crazy. We're nuts, but I refuse counseling. This house is too huge. If you move out, I'll burn all 2,000 square feet to the ground. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Because with you, I'm in my mind. Without you, I'm out of it. Yeah. No.
I hate him so much. Oh God, it's to me, it's only we keep saying 20s, but I saw like a teenage boys act like this when your frontal lobe's not done forming and you don't know how to function yet.
Yeah, you don't know how to contain yourself. You don't know how to control your emotions. You don't know who you are.
Yeah. So
And you're raised in a world where we have ideas like this, and they're everywhere. You know, as I was reading these lyrics, I was thinking about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. There's a big scene where she and Spike make love for the first time, and they get this incredibly violent vampiric love, and it's meant, of course, it's meant to portray how passionate they are to one another, but it's violent, and kids watch that stuff. You know, it becomes part of your, I don't know, it becomes part of your expectations.
yeah, it's you got to be careful what you feed yourself with when you're deep in love. And that's what
Mhm.
happens here is I think couples like this get deep in love first, and then the bad stuff starts happening, and it starts mixing together because you're still deep in love and you're in pain. And so you start being like, well, is this pain also love? And it's like, no, it's not.
Yeah,
Uh,
you can't let it get all wrapped up like that. You have to make sure that it's separate.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Like, I mean, I had a friend who was with a guy who was abusive, and I mean, he was a textbook sociopath. And
Mhm.
she said, like, as bad as he could make her feel, he could also be just as sorry
Mhm.
that felt equally as good, like picking her up off the couch the next day where she's just a crumbled mess and he's so sorry, saying he is going to get counseling, he'll never do it again, and she's just broken like, you do love me, and so it's like the extreme of like how bad I felt to how good I feel now. And
Mhm.
whew, that's so
God.
God, it makes my
I feel,
stomach hurt.
yeah, me too. And it makes me hurt because I have my own regrets. Like nothing violent, but there are definitely nights where you'd be drinking a little bit, and you'd have huge big arguments. The next morning, just be like, I'm sorry I said that. I'm sorry I'm
Yeah.
sorry I raised my voice. And you are, or I am. You'd be like very sincerely sorry. Sorry, I was always raised to know that sorry means I'll never do that again.
Right.
But then it would happen again, and you'd be like, am I a liar now on top of it? Like
Right.
on top of not being able to control myself, am I also a liar? Like, I guess I am.
Yeah.
There's the evidence is what the evidence is.
And
Mhm.
with so with the person who is a real sociopath, they're lying, they're manipulating. With someone who's not a sociopath, but say just hasn't finished forming as a human yet, they may actually really feel like I will never do this again. And then when like their brain breaks again, they're out of control. They just are in that moment being like, I can't control it.
They're just right back to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's
Mhm.
so in the video, here's where it's crazy. So I couldn't find an official video for Rihanna's version, but there's a big one for Eminem's version that they did together. And they
Mhm.
hired actors, Lost actor Dominic Monaghan and Megan Fox to play.
Mhm.
And they knew that they were playing Eminem and Kim,
Yeah.
basically, their
Mhm.
relationship. But it's so over the top violent. They are beating the shit out of each other all over the place. And then, Megan Fox is so hot. So they're having these like hot pushed up against the wall, like immediate, like making out sex scenes, right back to beating the shit out of each other. And so the video gets you like all like, whoa, oh shit, oh, that's hot. Oh God, he's hitting her. It takes you on a ride.
It's just a brutal nightmare. Why are you doing that to Megan Fox? Leave Megan Fox alone.
And then you're like, Megan Fox, stop kissing him. I'm gonna punch you in the face again. Yikes.
I was so happy for Brian Austin Green when he was with Megan Fox for all that time. I was just like, oh, yeah, nicely done, David Silver. Didn't know you had it in you.
What happened?
Yeah, well, it all falls apart.
Then
he had a good run. Enjoy it.
I bet he's laughing now, though. She went and drank that weirdo's blood, and now he's cheated on her. And so I'm like, well, all right. Go back to Brian, okay?
Did she drink his blood? Is that a thing that they were doing? Were they getting all Angelina Jolie?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
all these different examples of like Angelina Jolie wandering around with a vial of Billy Bob Thornton's blood. Like, careful, that's not love.
You see this so much, like people who come on hot like that, publicly hot, doing crazy things, and you always know, and you just want to like zip your lip and wait for it, be like, that's gonna burn out just as hot as it came in. Those are never healthy, healthy, long-lasting relationships. They never are.
Did you not see the Pam and Tommy story? Did you learn nothing from Pam and Tommy? Do we have to go back to the 90s?
I know. History just keeps repeating itself. These people are wackadoos. But I will say that Dominic, there's a quote from Dominic saying, I think we tried as hard as we could not to glorify the violence, to try to explain that this is a relationship that is by no means ideal, and probably should have ended a lot sooner than it did. And I'm like, yes, I agree. And I wish they had put that in the lyrics stronger.
Yeah, but that's the thing, because people miss that message all the time, and that have like you look at movies like The Wolf of Wall Street is a huge big movie amongst these really like capitalist tech bros, and they're like, okay, it's a satire, like it's meant to be a cautionary tale, like you totally misunderstood that. Yeah, and they did it deliberately, like it's showing the flashy cars and all the money and all the women and everything like that. Like it's definitely artists lose the message that they're trying to send over when they try to fill it with bombast. I didn't say that well, but I think
when they make the bombast so attractive looking, people just get so like spiral-eyed and blinded, they're not going to catch the message at the end.
Yeah. You gotta hit people over the head with the moral. If you're gonna have a moral, you gotta make sure it's clear.
Yeah. I want to point out that the song was co-written by someone named Skylar Gray. Her birth name is Holly Brooke Hafferman, but so she wrote it. This is just a quick quote from her. She said, it wasn't necessarily about literal violence in a relationship, but that vicious cycle of somebody who keeps you on your toes because they're kind of an asshole. She explained, I do tend to fall for assholes because they keep me on my toes and I don't get bored. And that's what I wrote this about. And I just want to say that during all reading her quote, reading the lyrics to this, on my Facebook yesterday, my therapist has like a little thing. She doesn't like write stuff. She just posts like inspirational stuff and good therapy stuff. But she posted this thing that was so perfect that said, as you heal, your attractions change too. Toxicity stops looking like excitement and peace stops looking like boredom.
Yes.
Which is so, I mean, this is like the biggest message that should be up about this song, is that is the confusion a lot of times, is that like she's saying, you know, she gets bored. And I'm like, yeah, that's excitement, and violence is not love. And, you know, it's not excitement, and peace and stability should not be boredom.
Exactly. I was thinking about that. That's probably like the most hurtful thing that a woman could sort of casually say about somebody that they've ended a relationship with. It's just like, it was just boring. Like, I just got bored.
And oh man. Like, oh, I just loved you unconditionally and never hit you or hurt you. Or he's like, yeah, I mean, if you would have just smacked me around a little bit, maybe it would have worked out.
A little bit of hair pulling's not out of the question.
I mean, let's just put it in a safe parameters in the bedroom, you know. I mean, I will say you can't just be a stick in the mud either, but let's find balance. These are the people who either it's white or it's black. Like I need, you know, I need church or I need almost prison. Like, no, find the gray, everybody. Find that middle. Jesus.
I, and you can do it in other directions too. It's not just the violence. Like the last relationship that I was in, we drank far too much together.
Mm.
Like instead of arguing, sometimes we just get drunk and be quiet. Like,
Yeah, there's a lot of metaphors that could be drawn. Like, you know, we're just focusing on the violence, the physical violence in this bad relationship, but there's also really, really bad relationships where people just don't talk at all.
yeah.
That's not good. I mean,
Mhm.
that can be a weird toxic thing where you just hold all your feelings and emotions inside and just pretend like everything's fine for years. That's
Yep.
equally as destructive.
It really is. But it's sometimes like what are you gonna do? Like you say, like I want the fight over by 8 p.m. Like what do you do? Like when you've like drawn a truce and decided, okay, we're gonna close our eyes and go to sleep. But you're still kind of roiling around inside yourself. Like I still have things I want to say. I still don't, I don't feel that connection with you right now, and I want to reestablish it. Like there's definitely been nights where like I've been laying awake or struggling to get to sleep because there's that I have more to say, and I know that now's not the right time.
Well, you just need your journal back, is what you
Yeah,
need.
exactly.
You know, without that old notebook, or you know, now it's all on computer, and they're laying next to you, and you're like, "Ta, ta, 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 ta."
Looking back on it, that probably really would have made a difference. A
Yeah.
couple of nice poems really could have bridged the gap there.
Or sometimes just writing. I mean, this is so many people. Like if you just write it down in the heat of the moment, especially at night, get it all out. Just vomit it all out, and then the next day, crack it open and look and be like, that's when you edit. Like, I don't actually feel like that. That was a little
Yeah.
dramatic. That can
Mhm.
go. That was being okay. What about what I did? Okay, I see. And this is where you can edit yourself and then be like, what you got left is like, okay, this is the beef of what's actually wrong, and this is what I really
Yeah.
feel. Yeah.
Mhm. God, I hate arguing with somebody who doesn't want to own their part of it. Like I
Oh,
absolutely hate it. Like I think we've talked about it before, but when you offer an apology and don't get one in return, it just makes me so fucking mad.
like forget everything I said.
Yes. Like, God damn it. You were involved in this too.
Yes. And that's hard. I mean, a lot of people, everyone has their ego, and some are just way bigger than others. And some people really have never learned to apologize, and it's hard. And I'll admit there are times when I didn't because I just truly didn't think I was wrong. And I truly
Yep.
believed I did these things for these reasons. And then
Mhm.
sometimes like when I finally realized how wrong I was, it was like, wow, I am not good at apologizing because I haven't had to do it a lot. And it feels bad. It feels so bad when you have to do it.
Well, because if you're apologizing, then you have done something that you feel bad about. Like
Mhm.
I don't like it when I talk to people and you kind of get the feeling that they think that saying I'm sorry is a sign of weakness. That like
Yeah.
you're submitting to somebody or you're admitting you're wrong when you really don't feel that you are. Like that's not what it is at all. Like an apology is understanding the mistake that you made and telling somebody you care about that you're going to do your damnedest not to do that again.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. That's a very strong thing. I don't
Yeah.
understand why some people just have such an aversion to it.
I think it's just people with really huge egos who are just never
Yeah.
wrong. They're just like, no,
Mhm.
I can't be wrong.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. Or I'm certainly not going to apologize to you.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
take it personally like that. It's not like a general thing. It's like, oh, if I was a stronger personality, you'd be treating me differently.
Yeah. You know what's crazy is when we realized we're gonna do 2 songs, I was like, "Man, it's gonna be like a 2-hour, episode," but now I'm like, I I don't know if I have much else to say about this.
Yeah, I know. Like, toxic relationships, no good. Rihanna, excellent singer. Going to be a lovely mother. Have you seen? She published pictures in Vogue today, in British Vogue, with her and ASAP Rocky and their newborn baby.
Oh.
And of course, like she's got something of a baby bump with baby number 2 on the way. So the family pictures are coming out, and they look very sweet.
Oh, that's cute. Yeah, she's got some little Irish twins coming, like, they're really,
Hmm.
really close in age. Yeah, I wanna talk about the Super Bowl performance, and so oh god, people, we're all jerks. The way we are like, people will either love it or hate it and then argue with each other. And as we're like just like kings sitting on our thrones, like, entertain us. I hated that. That was not good enough for me. You know? Like, go
Take Rihanna away.
free entertainment from your couch. Would you shut up? But I will say, like, last year's Super Bowl performance, the lineup I loved. It was just 90s rap, and that's my jam, and I loved it. But I remember my complaint was how small the set was. And it was cool. Like, everybody was hanging upside down, and it was all those different rooms. I loved how it looked, and people didn't understand that I wasn't saying I hated the whole performance or I didn't like the music. I'm like, no, I loved it all. It was just like when you order something on Amazon and you're not paying attention to the dimensions and you get it and you're like, oh no. That's what it felt like last year, that it was like somebody built it for community theater, not realizing they're on a football field at the Super Bowl. You need to use the whole space. And so I just remember laughing like, what are they doing?
I would love to work on the Super Bowl halftime show just for the juxtaposition where you've got all these like meathead jock guys who are just like, the game's the most important thing. And then you have all of these like backup dancers and singers just floating around trying to put their big show together. Different forms of egos competing for like literally performing in the same space at the same time.
I think it's beautiful. But that's what I loved about Rihanna's performance. Like, obviously she's pregnant, she can't do like crazy stuff, but she did. I mean, they took up the entire field with these like Super Mario level. There's the Super Mario game that looks exactly like what she did. Me and Corbin and Charlie immediately pointed it out. But it took up the whole field in these different levels, and like she's up there pregnant, which is dangerous, and then the dancers looked really cool, which I was like, this is how you use the space. Thank you. Use the whole space. But Corbin made me laugh because her backup dancers, the way they were dressed with like the masks and the poofy thing, and he was like, what's stopping me from putting on my resume that I was a backup dancer for Rihanna's Super Bowl?
Absolutely nothing.
Prove me wrong.
I was kind of because I really thought that Rihanna was going to have like a special guest. I figured that like Jay-Z or Eminem or somebody was going to come out and then drop a few hot bars. But then you realize like she's Rihanna, she can't have a guest.
Yeah,
you know,
Lady Gaga didn't have a guest.
Lady Gaga, sure as shit, isn't going to share that stage with fucking anyone. Are you kidding? She's Lady Gaga, for God's sake. Beyonce did have a guest. Didn't Beyonce perform with what's his name? Who I found to be such a charming. Oh my God.
I don't remember. I got tickets though. Me and Kelly Butler are going to Beyonce.
Are you serious? When is it?
September 23rd.
In Houston at Energy?
Yeah.
Oh yes. I'm excited for you.
Yeah, Kelly's gonna come in town. Anyway, that's just me showing off. Well, we were joking, like we were watching the Super Bowl at our friend Joe's house, and he has like young nieces there that are super into Rihanna and super excited. And everybody at one point was like, is she going to bring a guest out? Who's it going to be? Do you think Eminem's going to come out? And I was laughing. I was like, what if it's Chris Brown?
Oh gosh. Back together again.
Yeah, and A$AP Rocky's like, what the fuck? Like,
I'm surprised that there hasn't been a reprisal on Chris Brown. You know, I really figured that somebody, you know, Rihanna's next lover or an ambitious young man would take Chris Brown to task over that. I was really, and I'm sure something like that probably has happened behind closed doors, but I honestly figured, like, after I saw the pictures of Rihanna, I was just like, oh, that guy's going to get it.
Yeah. But, maybe he did. Maybe he just kept it hush hush. Maybe like Private Alley beaten. I don't know.
Yeah. Just quietly took his beating and went on with his day.
Yeah.
That's probably the best way to handle that. If you're in his situation, if you're in his shoes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't imagine that. Like when you look at the pictures of Rihanna, you're just like, how, what? I understand losing control. I understand getting angry. I don't understand that on any level. Like, that's just, what are you doing?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what she's like in a fight. And, you know, everybody's had these conversations of like, I mean, we obviously Chris Brown is an asshole, but what if she's one of these girls that knows how to just push that button like in your face and say that thing that goes for the jugular, that like where she's like, what are you gonna do, hit me? And then they finally do it, you know?
Then get away from that girl.
Yes.
You know, like, That's
Yes.
the only thing you can't do anything other than get away from that, Chris. The only answer.
Yeah. Yeah, but there are some girls that are, like we said, feral cats. Like he could have stopped the car and been like, "Get out of the car," and she'd be like, "Nope." You know? I'm not saying Rihanna. I'm saying girls like Rihanna. There are girls that are just like, it's almost like they want you to. Like I've seen them. I've seen because they think it's not actually going to happen, and then when it happens, either they're like, "Oh my god," or the fight's on. They fight back, and it's ugly.
No, I don't want any part of that. I am far too mild-mannered a fella for that. I understand myself enough to know that.
That's why, okay, I'm just going to say this. Back when Corbin and I live in Montrose in that townhome, back then we lived right behind what used to be Mary's and Chance's, which Mary's was the gay bar, the male gay bar, and Chance's was the lesbian bar. And every night at 2 a.m. when it got out, I mean, when I say feral cat fights, like there were never police coming like that sound. There were never police coming to break up the male gay bar fights. Like these girls would go at it so brutally. Ben's running away. Maybe someone's at his door. I'll just tell you guys, so brutally that it's like that's what happens when two girls are allowed to be unleashed on each other, because we're way more violent than men.
Sorry to leave you hanging.
Was it someone at the door?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was just saying, but like that, when I was saying those girls that will push and push because they think you won't hit them back, and then you do, and then they're ready to fight. That's what lesbian fights were like. That we would walk out onto our balcony and just look. And I mean, like dudes fight and they have all this ego and they almost want it to look like they're boxing sometimes. But when girls go at it, it is a feral, nasty, ugly thing.
Yeah. Lesbian relationships can be pretty brutal because women are better communicators and they're far more interested in communicating. So when the few gay women relationships that I know fairly well, when they break up, it's awfully brutal because they're not breaking up for trivial reasons. They're breaking up with these accusations, just like you're a miserable person. Like I've looked deep into your soul and it's black. Like it's
a lot of times when men and women break up, it's because they can't communicate and get the words out, and they just say, forget it. Women communicate to the point to where we get to the root problem and like, oh, and I hate it. I see like you just said, I see the root of who you are and I hate it. So that's dangerous.
This is an unsolvable problem.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think like, oh, maybe it would be nice, for lesbian relationships because it's familiar. We understand each other. There's no like battle of why don't you understand what I'm saying? But then like maybe there is a danger in it when you understand too much.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can get too close to a person for sure. You got to maintain some mystery.
Oh God.
And then you got to let people have their flaws too. Like if you find that somebody has an unsolvable problem, you just got to go, that's what it is.
Yeah, you decide, do I continue to love you and know that this is part of who you are and I just accept it and not try to change you?
Yes.
And that's another thing is women like to fix and change each other, and a woman should know to another woman like, no.
Yeah. That's not changing.
That's what we do to men. Yeah.
I think we've done it, Rihanna. I hope Rihanna's proud of this. I'm sure she'll be listening to it.
I'm sure she's going to listen. I would love to get her feedback. That would be great.
We pat ourselves on the back. Rudy Sarzo retweeted us, our podcast. Proper rock star Rudy Sarzo got a hold of our little show and showed it to his followers on Instagram.
I was so proud. And I don't even know how. I guess he's got some alert on Instagram that, whenever someone mentions the band or whatever. So he just grabbed it and put it on his Instagram story for everybody. And I thanked him for it. But I was like, wow, all right.
Well, I imagine a band that big and a musician that big has a team that monitors media for mentions and things like that. And if a weird podcast pops up, it's like, they're really going to talk about him for an hour. What did they say?
Yeah.
I doubt he really listened to it, but somebody probably did. Just went, it's fully complimentary.
Yeah, I think it was. As soon as he did that, my heart started racing. I'm like, did we say anything fucked up? Did we say anything bad? Oh, I need to know, did your mom listen to last week's episode?
I don't know. I haven't found out yet.
My friend Heather, who's also a Patreon member, asked me, she's like, do you think his mom listened? Because she goes, it sure shit made me want to listen even more. But we did get, I got some personal messages and feedback on that episode. Like, I get nervous putting it out. Like, I don't care who listens to it sometimes, but sometimes I'm like, there's certain people that are just like moms of kids who my kids play with. And I'm just like, do they need to know what kind of porn I watch? Like, you get like nervous on who's listening to this. And I was just like, was I coming down too hard on the sex workers? I always have guilt for the shit that flies out of my mouth. But I had a person tell me, they're like, no, I think you were pretty dead on. And I think it was pretty honest. I think you were fine.
I think we can stand by it. I haven't gone back and listened to it, but I feel good about it.
I have to listen to it because I edit it. And that's when my heart's like, oh God, Diane, shut up. But whatever. That's how I feel. I don't care. Let's do 6 Degrees of the Clash. This was actually really fun watching Jeremy connect the Clash to Rihanna.
Hey friends, welcome to a surprisingly sports-heavy edition of 6 Degrees, where this week we're going to connect the Clash to Rihanna. Her 2007 single, Shut Up and Drive, was a new take on Blue Monday, a single from New Order, initially released in 1983 in between the band's first and second album. 7 years later, or 17 years before, New Order would also collaborate with the English national football team and Keith Allen on the single World in Motion to promote the team's drive to the World Cup. Best known as a comedian and actor, or Lily Allen's father, Keith Allen also has a long connection to the British punk scene, including an appearance as a musician on Black Grape's 1996, for some reason also football-related song England's Irie, alongside Joe Strummer, the frontman of The Clash. So this week, we went Rihanna to New Order to Keith Allen to The Clash using the World Cup and the Super Bowl. Back to Diane and Ben.
Impressive.
Super impressive. That's one of the crazier routes I've ever seen.
I didn't even think about 6 Degrees of Separation when I picked Rihanna. I was like, yeah, that is a particularly tough one. I can't think.
Congratulations. I mean, bravo, Jeremy. Good job. Good job.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I went all over the place with my deep cuts this week. I was going to choose one that was like, okay, let's find another song that's about a toxic relationship. And then I started looking, I was like, oh, it's almost all of them. There's so many. I can't even find like a deep cut. It's all hits. So I went a totally different direction, and I just did. I was driving home the other night and shuffling through my music, and Erasure came on, and I was like, oh, I haven't listened to like deep cut Erasure set, because so many of their songs are just hits, but there's some that weren't on the radio that I love. So my deep cut this week is an Erasure song that wasn't super popular, but it's called When I Needed You. And it's just a really sweet song. It starts off sounding like real slow, like a little lullaby. And then when the chorus comes in, it's danceable. And I always just like in my car, it's like sweet. And then I'm jamming. And then it goes back to sweet. And then I'm jamming again. So
I could be most anything. There is so much to see. I'd live a different story if you were next to me. Where were you when I needed you most? When I needed a friend? Where were you when I needed you most? When I needed a friend?
That's what Erasure's best at. I was too busy fucking around with my facial hair all week to come up with a I'm sorry, I got to be honest with you.
well, I have one for you, because the one I was gonna say, it's a U2 song, which I always feel flew under the radar, but we've talked about it before, but it's Stay, Far Away, so Close, Far Away, or whatever, because it's about a girl who's saying like, because when he hurts you, you feel alive. It's
there's great lines in that one. Yeah, a vampire or a victim, it depends on who's around.
Yeah.
That's a great song. We really need to do that one.
I think so too. I think we promised Sean O'Brien, if we do U2 again, we'll bring him back on and maybe we can do that song.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Did you talk to Patreon Jeff Lewis? Do you know what song he wants to do?
I did talk to him. He did send me a text message for the song, and I did not write it down.
Okay, it can be a surprise.
I'm sorry, it'll be a surprise. It's in my phone. I will have it for you in a moment.
Okay, yeah. Well, so next week will be a surprise. I'll be back from California, and we'll surprise you with what's going to happen next week.
Enjoy your trip.
Thank
Happy
you.
day after Valentine's Day, everybody, or week after Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Okay.
Have a love hangover.
Yeah, there you go. All right.
All right. And Vogue.
1, 2, 3.
Rock the Cash Bar is produced by Diane Gallagher, music by Chuck Savage and Eddie Hawkins. Special thank you to Jeremy Essig for 6 Degrees and to Sarah Wessling for the Guilty Pleasures vocals. Our website is rockthecashbarpodcast.com, and there you can find links to our Spotify playlist and to our Patreon. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week.